right, getting ready for another game this week. Coming off of a big win for us after only playing one game in about 20 days. We needed to get in some kind of rhythm, and now we've got 3 games in 21 days. So we're going to find out a lot about our team. Last week we held our ground. I thought we played probably one of the better games that we played in about 3 quarters, and then one quarter that we didn't play quite as well. But our execution is getting better on both sides. We're starting to get some guys healthy. Chris Burrell is back, who got hurt in, I think, the second game of the year, broke his collarbone, had an operation, and he's back. So he'll have a chance to play this week. Trenier Orr, starting corner at the beginning of the year, practiced last week. He should have a chance to play a lot this week. He's a lot better. He also had an operation 8 weeks ago on his knee. So getting a few guys back that we need to get back in certain areas, because we're kind of running out of depth. And with these 2 games, now 2 games in an 8-day period, once we get to Saturday, is going to be pretty crucial to playing a lot of guys on both sides. Rutgers is a team that one of the teams I haven't coached against as a head coach. I do know that over the last 10 years that they're much improved in their football program. They put a lot of money in it. They've made a lot of advances, and this is the last time that we'll play them in our conference. They're going to the Big Ten. But very similar to us, they're a running team, passing team, 1 back, 2 backs, multiple offensive fronts. Got an experienced quarterback that has played very well in his tenure there. Defensively, they, again, very similar. 4-man front, but play multiple looks, man and zone coverage. They've had some injuries, but it looks like they're getting their running back on offense. They've had a week off. Open date. We've had several this year where we have had to get ready for a team that's had 14 days to prepare. So it should be interesting going up in the Northeast. Don't know what the weather's going to be like. Again, I've not coached up there much, but we're just going to prepare for like we would here. I think that our guys are excited about going on the road. Should be a huge crowd. For their game with their game off. They had a big win against Temple on the last play of the game 2 weeks ago. So they're working to get bowl eligible. Fortunately for us, we're already bowl eligible. We want to finish up November strong. We got a good start with the game last week, and then we've got 2 more in this month, and we'll have 1 in December, and we'll finish it off. But we're still in the race for the championship with only 1 loss. We can't control our own destination, but in terms of bowl games or how we'll end up in the rankings at the end of the year, only thing we can do is go out and play the best we can and try to win as many as we can. So our guys, yesterday we had a day off, which I normally don't give them on Sunday. We practiced yesterday, had a good practice, good meetings, and we'll have another good practice day. Hopefully it's a little cool, so we'll go inside and start using our bubble this week, and mainly use it for concentration and get a good game plan in, and on all 3 phases, and go play this Saturday on at noon. Questions?
You got your running game going in the 3rd quarter, especially that 94-yard drive. Did you guys change anything, or was it more just execution and a commitment to the run game?
Yeah, I think it was commitment. We challenged them on the sideline. We challenged them all week, knowing that if we give a lot of possessions to a team like SMU, they're going to score at least every possession, whether 3 points or a touchdown or every other possession. And we kind of took the air out of it, holding the ball 22 minutes in the second half compared to their 8. They had only 3 possessions. They punted once, and they had 2 95-yard drives. But running the football is, I think it's crucial to having success against all teams. Whether you run it or not, just the ability to run it, and the defensive coordinator on the other side understanding, hey, they can run or throw, I think it gives us an edge. So running the football has been good to us all year long. We've been up and down. To my amazement, we're leading the conference in rushing. I would have not thought that, but we've gotten better and better as the year gone on. Llewellyn has been a big part of that, Jordan Llewellyn, and all 3 running backs have played pretty well. Jose played an excellent game last week. He's a guy that's got very good vision and understands how to run a couple of running plays that we run. And it's good to have I guess, a fresh guy every week to play running back. But our running game's gotten better because our offensive line has really worked on it hard throughout the year. We were very average at the beginning of the year, and we've gotten much better. And it's all going back to, number one, calling plays, but also working your technique and fundamentals on the offensive line during the week.
Two big road games in conference coming up. What's different about preparing to play on the road, particularly in conference?
It's pretty much a mindset. I'm one of those that talk to your players all week about relaxing, enjoying the trip, but understanding it's a business trip. It's not a trip where you're going to go and just play. It's something that you really got to focus on even more than you do when you're at home. It's hard to play on the road. It's hard to concentrate in a different environment. Traveling 70 guys, hotels, travel, playing on a different field. It sometimes takes its toll, but you find out more about your football team when you're on the road. You find out how good you are. You find out how consistent you are and how focused your players get. So the last time we played on the road at Memphis, we're pretty good, not great. We've got to improve to have a chance to win either of these two games coming up. We'll play two teams that probably the better teams that we played this year. So it'll be a challenge for us to go to New Jersey and play, whether it's going to be cold or warm or snow or rain. It doesn't make any difference. We just got to prepare, and I think you set that whole tone in your meetings all week long with your coaches and talk about it at practice and understand what you're getting into.
Brendan, particularly the last 4 weeks, really all year he's been very accurate. The last 4 weeks, completion percentage over 70, twice over 80. What is the biggest reason for that, you think?
I think he's just gotten more comfortable in what we're doing, and I think the ability to put both of those slots in the game has really helped us after about the 4th game of the year. He's got a lot of confidence in those guys, and a lot of times we throw check downs to them, meaning that it's a shorter pass. If he goes to his reads and outside guys are not open or the right slot's not open, he knows that the other guy's very, very confident that if he gets close to him, he's going to catch the ball. And so Shaq and McClung have really done a good job with Brandon. Now, Brandon's been able to get the ball there and go through his reads. And again, you got to understand he's experienced. I mean, he made a couple of bad throws last week that we'd like to have back, but he usually doesn't force the ball, and he's going to get it to the guy that's more open than anybody else. But I'm proud of Brandon. His percentage of completion is outstanding. He usually makes all the good reads, and he's been beat up. He is the last few weeks, he's gotten a little bit better each week, and this week I think he'll be stronger than the last 2 weeks. But he's played through a lot of adversity, and I think even the running game's helped him too. But and Jordan, so it's been a complete years of work to help Brandon become a better quarterback, with all the other pieces coming together, helping him out. Because you can't do it by yourself as a quarterback. He's not the type of quarterback that they had the other day at SMU. Throw it 50, 60, 70 times a game, and he's got the arm to do it. But I just think his movement in the pocket's not quite as good as that other guy, the Garrett Gilbert. I mean, that kid could run and make decisions, but that's their offense. They care not to run the ball. And I think running the football has really helped Brandon more time in the pocket. We've only given up 9 sacks, which is we've got to be close in the top 10 in the country, and that's amazing. As many times we've thrown the ball.
How important is it getting to Gary Nova? 11 interceptions, 2 losses to Louisville and Houston.
Yeah, he's turned the ball over. We know how that is. We're close to the bottom of the pack in the country of turnover ratio of being in the plus side, and the games that we've lost, we've just turned it over, and they can probably go back to look at theirs, and they'd like to he'd love to have some throws back and some fumbles, but the thing about it is, he makes up for those plays. I mean, he's a guy that can make a big play, even though he's kind of like Brandon, and so you go look at last week. He made a couple mistakes in the Temple game and got them behind, and then they catch up, and then he on a 4th and 5, last play of the game on a blitz. He knew he was getting ready to take a hit, but he hit the guy perfectly down the sideline for a touchdown to win the game. So Very similar quarterbacks, he and Brandon this week, in terms of playing quarterback experience, using your running backs, putting the ball around the field, give different receivers, and making big plays. But turnovers for them have hurt them, and turnovers for us have hurt us.
Has your problem with turnovers been more of you turning the ball over or not generating takeaways?
We haven't got many takeaways. You know, I think that there's been games we've gotten a few more, but like last week, we turned it over 3 times and they didn't have any. You're not going to beat an SMU if you do that very often. I mean, it just doesn't happen. We had to play almost perfect every other place to make that happen, which it was in our running game I thought was the deciding factor. But it's just one of those things. You go in spurts of turnovers. I mean, sometimes they just happen. Brandon threw twice last week, interception. He threw into coverage, threw the wrong guy, and he just made a bad decision. As long as you make enough other good decisions to make up for those, you got a chance. And he's good enough to do that, as Nova is good enough to do that at Rutgers. But you can't put an inexperienced guy in the game and he make a couple of bad decisions, then he's going to go in the tank and not be able to pull the trigger the rest of the game. So that's a difference in an experienced player and a non-experienced player. So we can't go the rest of these next 3 games and not get any turnovers and say we're going to win all 3 of them. That's not going to happen. I mean, we've got to be able to get some turnovers, make some things happen. We were close to getting a couple of interceptions last week, but when somebody throws it 50 times and you don't get an interception, that means you're not doing a very good job with underneath coverage. And we didn't play that much man coverage. Man coverage, you usually don't get a lot of interceptions because you're not looking at the ball, you're playing the receiver more. Usually comes in overthrown passes in zone and somebody tipping the ball and getting interceptions. So mainly we've just got to be better at breaking on the ball, playing receivers closer, playing a lot better zone coverage, pass rush, force a bad throw. Even though we had pretty decent pass rush last week, we didn't force any really awkward throws from their quarterback. So it's a team defense. It doesn't happen just because you're secondary linebackers. You can also blame your D-line too for not creating turnovers.
What's the goal? What's the magic 3 usually you want to get?
Yeah, I'd say 3. If you get 3 and then you really don't worry about the other team. You know, if they get 1 or 2 or possibly 3, it's a wash. But you can't go 0-3 like we did last week and have a chance very often. And you can pretty much go back and look at it. Their 2 missed field goals is like a turnover. And then we did kick the onside kick, and then we got the onside kick. And so they're not turnovers, but they're pretty close to it.
Your defense has been top 10 in the country in total yards for a good part of the year. We talked about that earlier in the year. How realistic is that to you? Do you think that's accurate of how they reflective of how they play?
We played pretty well. We played pretty good defense considering some of the situation we've been in this year with injuries. But I really don't look at the yardage. You know, if you look at the game last week, they had, over 400 yards passing, 450 yards, or I guess 400. I look at the points scored, and we're around 18. I'd like to be around 15 a game average. I think that's more realistic of points scored, because sometimes it's unrealistic. You know, if they'd have made their 2 field goals last week, you know, that'd been 31 points, and would have been on the other side of the win-loss column. But I'd like as a head coach to keep it somewhere around 15 throughout the year. Some's going to go a little higher, some hopefully have a little less. But if you keep it around 15, then I'd say you're successful on defense. I think sometimes you look at the yardage gained, rushing and passing. It has a lot to do with the other teams that you're playing, but the points are, I think, more of a standard of how you should go on playing defense.